The only people who are continually trying to reopen this debate or fearmonger on this issue are Liberals.
The job of a Prime Minister is always to stand up for the public interest and to stand up for people's jobs. That's what I did, and that's what I will always do.
Well, I'm an optimist. I believe we can always fight to make things better. I don't want to ever give up, so I'm committed to the vision of making sure we've got a candidate and that represent Canada, that represent who we are.
That was a few of the party leaders answering questions today on day 2 of the federal election campaign. Although some of them had a debate to prep for, they still had time to get out and canvass for votes. NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh was not far from Toronto in Brampton, Ontario, near his old seat in the provincial legislature. The CBC's Hannah Thibodeau was on hand for his announcement today.
Hey Vashi, well, I'm on the NDP campaign bus getting ready to head down to the first election debate with Jagmeet Singh. He did start the day today in Brampton. In those ridings, they're all currently held by Liberal MPs, but he thinks he can make inroads in those ridings. One of the reasons is he used to be an Ontario MPP, so a legislative MPP. He thinks that popularity might help him in that riding, and also the diversity there as well. He made a healthcare announcement today suggesting that if elected, he would work with the provincial government to build a new hospital, but also renovate one that's already there. He did admit it could be difficult because he would have to work with Ontario Conservative Premier Doug Ford. And if you look at the image he was trying to portray today, it was a line of people, and what he's trying to suggest is that under the current Liberal government, there are long wait times, and these people are supposed to be the metaphor to show those long wait times. And one other thing he did say today is that he would also, as Prime Minister, if he ever got the job, he would consider opening up and building on access for doctor-assisted dying. So he's really trying to talk about healthcare and say that he would be the best choice as Prime Minister to deliver those specific needs. Vashi.
Thanks, Hannah. The CBC's Hannah Thibodeau traveling with the NDP this week. Conservative leader Andrew Scheer is also participating in tonight's debate. He was in Toronto in the riding of North York. The CBC's Katie Simpson is traveling with his team.
Andrew Scheer was knocked off message before his first event even began. Carolyn Bennett, a Liberal cabinet minister, tweeted a video of Rachel Wilson, the Conservative candidate for the Toronto riding of York Centre, advocating her anti-abortion views at a 2017 rally in Ottawa. Scheer had to again clarify his position on abortion, while Wilson distanced herself from her previous comments.
Nothing on this issue has changed for our party. We have always made it very clear that we will not support reopening the issue. The Conservative government will not reopen this issue. And as Prime Minister, I will vote against any measure that does attempt to do that.
Well, we just heard from our leader, and I absolutely support our leader's position that we are focused on issues that unite Canadians, and that's what I'm hearing about at the doors, and that's what our party will continue to focus on.
Scheer is using the rest of today to prepare for the first debate of the campaign. He'll be pointing out that Liberal leader Justin Trudeau is skipping this debate, accusing him of being too afraid to be challenged. Even though he will be debating NDP leader Jagmeet Singh and Green leader Elizabeth May, he doesn't plan on attacking them. Instead, all of his firepower will be aimed at Trudeau. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Toronto.
For Green Party leader Elizabeth May, it was a quiet day. She was in Toronto but hunkered down away from the cameras to prepare for tonight's debate. It was a busy day, though, for Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, who has chosen, as we've been saying all throughout the evening, not to participate in tonight's debate. Trudeau began the day on the West Coast in Victoria. He then traveled to Kamloops and finally departed for Edmonton for a campaign rally. The CBC's David Cochran has this report from Victoria.
Well, Vashi, the Liberal campaign spent day 2 of this election trying to recover from an accident at the end of day 1. That all happened last night, and that's when the bus that carries reporters from the airport to the hotel hit the Liberal plane that you can see parked there behind me. We were driving away from the airplane and we heard this loud, long scraping noise over our heads, and we quickly realized our bus was under the left wing of the Liberal plane, but it didn't have enough clearance. So that led to some damage. That plane has now been grounded for the foreseeable future. A backup plane without all the fancy logos and the writing is being brought in to keep the Liberal campaign on schedule. Well, that schedule today included an announcement to help first-time home buyers that builds on a plan that was already announced in the budget. but this expands it and it specifically targets expensive housing markets like here on Vancouver Island, in the greater Vancouver area, and in the greater Toronto area, which also happen to be key electoral battlegrounds in an election that's all about the cost of living. So Trudeau is bringing that message to voters here on Vancouver Island, where he's hoping to win seats away from the Greens and the New Democrats. He's taking it to Kamloops, where the Liberals think their candidate Terry Lake can win that seat from the Conservatives, and also to Edmonton, where the Liberals are going to try to save the MPs they have in the face of mounting voter anger, and actually maybe, just maybe, win the seat of Edmonton Strathcona away from the New Democrats, where Linda Duncan is retiring. Vashi?
Thanks, David. The CBC's David Cochran traveling with the Liberals, and we'll dig in a bit further into that housing promise a bit later in the show. Also not participating, though, in tonight's debate, People's Party of Canada leader Maxime Bernier. He was not invited. So instead, he held a second campaign launch earlier today. Yesterday's was in Toronto. Today's was in his stronghold in the town of St. Georges, Quebec, which is in Bernier's riding. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video. Thanks for watching.